Hi, and welcome to Regan Real Reviews, the Christmas edition. This is Kathleen Regan. I am a writer, filmmaker, actor, and I watch a lot of film and TV, so I'm just putting my reviews out here. If you watch these films, feel free to comment below and just see what you think about them as well. There may be spoiler alerts, but for these, I seriously doubt, but there may be, so watch at your own risk. For these 5 Christmas movies, I will not be doing my rating of reels, 3 out of 5, that kind of thing, because they're all just a good fun. So they're not meant to be sort of rated. They're just all a bunch of Christmas fun. And these are some that I really like and I rewatched recently because I just like them. So the first one is Christmas with the Kranks. It was done in 2004. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Tim Allen, and Dan Aykroyd are the main people. Basically what it's about is that this married couple, Tim Allen, Jamie Lee Curtis, the Kranks, they have one daughter and she decides over the holidays she's going to Peru. And I forget the reason why. It's like, work, study, or Peace Corps, something like that. She goes to Peru and she's not going to be there for Christmas. So Tim Allen gets in his mind that they're going to skip Christmas and they're going to go away for Christmas, just the two of them. Somewhere tropical, they're going to go away. And after Jamie Lee Curtis warms up to this idea, the local suburban neighborhood guy, Dan Aykroyd, who kind of runs the entire neighborhood and makes sure everyone has their stuff up for Christmas in this frosty man that everyone has to have. He gets very upset. No, I don't understand. Why aren't you here for Christmas? Why aren't you decorating for Christmas? And madness sort of ensues of why are they leaving and they have to hide out. Then all of a sudden the daughter calls and was like, guess what? I'm coming home for Christmas and I'm in the airport in Miami and I'll be home shortly. So they have to cancel their tropical plans and quickly pull together a Christmas party and a tree and everything. And it's just a bunch of fun. It really is. It is based on a story by John Grisham. Yep, that John Grisham, called Skipping Christmas. Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis, they're just so much fun as a married couple. Yeah, she's a little kind of over the top crazy, but that's what this type of movie is, and that's what it calls for. Tim Allen actually did, I think he did 5 Christmas movies altogether. There was a series he played, which they're also good. The Santa Claus 2, and Santa Claus 3. And I think they actually made a TV show off of that as well. But he has a lot of history in there. There's also a reference to Ghostbusters in here. Dan Aykroyd, as you know, was in the original Ghostbusters. So if you can pick out the reference to Ghostbusters, comment below and we'll see if you got it right. Jamie Lee Curtis and Dan Aykroyd also starred in a much earlier film, which is my next one to review, and that is Trading Places. Now, people always say every year, what's your favorite Christmas movie? And there's a whole thing about Die Hard versus It's a Wonderful Life, that kind of thing, versus Elf. All those are great. My favorite Christmas movie actually is Trading Places, 1983. It is a John Landis film, and it's basically about this rich guy, Dan Aykroyd, and this poor guy, Eddie Murphy. And Dan Aykroyd works on like Wall Street. It's in Philadelphia, actually. It's great shots of Philadelphia. He works on like the stock exchange and whatever. And these 2 old guys who like run the entire business, they decide to do an experiment. A social experiment, and they're going to have Dan Aykroyd switch places with Eddie Murphy, and one becomes rich, one becomes poor, and what will actually happen to each one of them when this experiment takes place, right? So it is just so much fun, and the reason it's my favorite Christmas movie because it's set around Christmas time, and there's a scene with Dan Aykroyd in this terrible Santa Claus suit, and again, it's just a lot of fun. There are some scenes that don't age well, right? You know what I'm talking about. Little spoiler alert, Dan Aykroyd in blackface. Yeah, not such a good idea. But listen, the overall theme, the fun of it, the joke. I mean, overall, it's just a fun movie. So, check it out. Again, there's a reference in here to an older film, Auntie Mame. So, if you can pick out what the reference is to Auntie Mame, comment below and we'll see if you're right. Just to let you know, that movie, Trading Places, is currently on Prime. The next one is Fred Claus. It's on Hulu. It was done in 2007, and this is with Vince Vaughn and Paul Giamatti. So Paul Giamatti and Vince Vaughn play brothers, and Paul Giamatti is Santa Claus, and Vince Vaughn is Fred Claus, his older brother. And Fred Claus lives, in the real world kind of thing, not in the North Pole. And he's kind of a shyster, doesn't really want to commit to his girlfriend, those kind of people, right? We all have been there. And Santa Claus, his brother, never could do any wrong. Their mother, Kathy Bates, which is great, always favored Santa Claus. And why can't you be more like your brother, Fred, and all this kind of stuff? Well, Fred has to go up to the North Pole for various reasons to go work for Santa Claus. And there's this guy that comes into the Santa Claus world, Kevin Spacey, love him or hate him. Kevin Spacey plays a great villain in here, and Kevin Spacey is like the efficiency expert, almost like a regulator, a bank regulator. And he's like, "Oh, you get 3 strikes on your efficiency, we're going to close you down for good," and all this kind of stuff. So all this tragedy and comedy ensues that way. Paul Giamatti, if you don't know him, he's one of my favorite actors. Most recently in The Holdovers, which was a movie that was nominated for a lot of awards a couple years ago. Billions, the show Billions. But in this one, he just plays a fun, jolly, serious Santa Claus. Vince Vaughn. I mean, come on. It's Vince Vaughn. And honestly, I haven't seen Vince Vaughn do the old Vince Vaughn that we know and love, the comedic guy. I haven't seen him do something in a while. And in this day and age, with all the craziness in this world, I could use another Vince Vaughn movie. So Vince, call me. Okay? I got some ideas. There is a great scene in here as well where Fred Claus has to go to a Siblings Anonymous. And it's just what you think it is, right? They're people that have suffered with their siblings. I'm sure my brothers and sisters have to go to this as well. Sorry. Anyway, it's a really funny scene. And while some of the youngins may not get this, there are 3 siblings there that speak up in this meeting who are siblings of famous people, which is really, it's fun. It makes fun of themselves, actually. So take a look at that, and I think you'll enjoy. Miracle on 34th Street. Now, you're probably going to say, "Oh, is this the one from 1947 starring, who was it, Maureen O'Hare, Natalie Wood?" No, it's not. Okay, that is a great film. I'm not saying anything bad about that one. But to me, The Miracle on 34th Street, 1994 on Hulu, is the one that I think about. I thought, tell me what you think, I thought it was a really good remake. Yeah, it was different than the original, but I really enjoyed it. This is the one I'm going to review today. Now, the original won, it won 3 Oscars, including like original screenplay, the original story. Originally 20th Century Fox thought it was too corny. They're like, "Yeah, I don't know about this." And they decided not to tell anyone that it was a Christmas movie. And they wanted to release it in May because they said more people saw movies in the summer than they do at Christmas. So it was released in May. And it was a big surprise that it was a Christmas movie, and it did very well. Again, I like the remake. It's set in 1994, and I personally, this was my 3rd year in New York City at that point in 1994. I moved in 1991, and this remake was filmed in the summer. How do I know that? Because I was going from my little tiny apartment on West 73rd Street and Broadway, going to Central Park to lay out in the sun one day, and I had my, layout gear, my towel, whatever, my suntan lotion, and I walk up to Central Park West, and there's the Macy's Day Parade. Real big balloons, everything. And they were filming Miracle on 34th Street. To this day, people ask me, "Have you ever seen the Macy's Day Parade?" And I don't know what to tell them. Yeah, but not what you think. I saw it in the summer. So I thought it was really good. This story is about a lawyer and a little girl that has to prove that Santa Claus is real. That's the basics of it. John Hughes was the film's producer. He was from the 80s, films, 16 Candles and everything. They thought this was going to be a failure. It did not do so hot in the box office because this new version, I'm going to read it, says it depicts bureaucracy and it they disprove that Santa Claus, like the big corporations try to disprove that this is really Santa Claus. And they said no one's going to say that Santa Claus sucks. So I don't know. That's what they thought. It didn't do so well in the box office. They actually offered a refund to people if they didn't like the film, and about 1,500 people actually took them up on that. So again, interesting. Elizabeth Perkins and Dylan McDermott play the leads here, and little Mara Wilson, Matilda, she plays the little girl, and Allison Janney, West Wing fame, tons of other movie fame, amazing Allison Janney has a cameo in here in the beginning with a New York accent, and oh, she's delightful. So check it out. And finally, I can't do a Christmas special without It's a Wonderful Life. 1946. It's on Prime. I don't think there's ever been a remake. I didn't see anything, and you can't remake this one. This was perfection. It still's perfection. It still holds up today. And there may be some lingo that doesn't hold up well today, some slang that's not held up today, but it's just a beautiful film. And years ago, when my nieces and nephews were younger, I'm talking like young grade school, middle school, and they were all gathered for Christmas, and we said, oh, we want to show you this movie. At first, there were groans. Oh my God, it's black and white, but it gets them every time. And please do not watch the colored version where they kind of technicolor it. No. You gotta watch it in black and white. I mean, it's just wonderful. Jimmy Stewart, of course, Donna Reed, the iconic Lionel Barrymore, Drew Barrymore's, I think, great grandfather, plays, the antagonist. It's just an amazing film. Strangely enough, though, it did not win any Oscars. It was nominated for, I think, 4 or 5, but didn't win any. And I looked it up thinking, oh my God, why didn't it win an Oscar? So the Oscars all went to this year, like the big film that kind of took all the Oscars, was a film called The Best Years of Our Lives. This film was both critically and commercially triumphed, won 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. And it was about 3 traumatized or physically disabled World War II veterans and how they returned home. This is where I tell people all the time, especially actors, you got to understand context and history. What's going on in the world that time? So here you have a film about wounded vets, and you have It's a Wonderful Life. And 1946, 1945, World War II just ended. So, of course, this film, it's a good film as well. It's a very good film, The Best Years of Our Lives. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve it, but I'm just saying when you look at what's going on in the world at that time, you can kind of get it. However, in 2023, Jimmy Stewart was inducted into the Hall of Fame from the official Film and TV Association did induct him and his character into the Hall of Fame. All right, well, I hope you have fun watching this. Have a wonderful holiday season. Be safe, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching Regan Real Reviews.